This is the Philly Fan Podcast with your host, Kevin Flannery.
Welcome back to another edition of the Philly Fan Podcast. I think I woke up Zach over here, my partner, for today's episode. I'm Kevin Flannery, your host like normal, and I have a partner today, Zach Albert. How you doing?
It's good to be here.
Nice to have you. So this one's going to be more of a Phillies-dominated podcast. My last one, 35 minutes of an Eagles rant, pretty much. Just kind of saying my opinions. It was fresh off it came out a little bit later, but it was fresh off the win. So I got right after the win of the Eagles game, Monday morning, came in here, just went off for a while.
Yeah, the excitement was there.
Definitely. Excitement was definitely there. Once I listened to it over both times, editing it and when I listened to it with other people, it's like, wow. Some of the opinions I don't even think were the greatest opinions by me. I don't really agree with them anymore, but that's how it goes. So we're going to focus a lot more on the Phillies today because Zach's more of a Phillies expert here. I can see by his World Series shirt that he's wearing.
Came prepared.
So I'm going to start off with just what's your overall opinion on last year and what to expect this year?
So last year, we were a fine baseball team. We were... At first, I was pretty opposed to the sixth playoff team, and I kind of still am. But the Phillies were not the best team in the National League. We just came up big at the right times, and that does not make us the best. It makes us, I don't want to say lucky, but
Good at the right time, hitting at the right time. Caught lightning in a bottle, pretty much, as they call it.
I think it's a combination of strategy and luck. But we were able to pull it off, and we were able to beat the Astros in 2 games, which the Yankees got swept.
We beat the Astros for the first time in the playoffs. They didn't lose a game in the whole playoffs until they faced us, and the first game they faced us.
So we did belong there. I wouldn't call it a fluke. I would call it a dramatic improvement.
So what's the expectation in your mind for this year? Because I don't think the expectation for anybody is in the World Series again.
No, that's never really an expectation. You can't always expect it because even the best teams in the league, something could happen. Like, I'm sure not even Dodgers fans could have expected them to make the World Series because crazy things have happened. Like the Phillies, a wild card team.
They lose in the first round. They lost in their first round for the Dodgers.
Yeah, that's what's exciting about baseball.
That's what we get for opinions here. Is for the Phillies, Bryce Harper comes back middle of the year,
All-Star
probably
break.
All-Star break, whenever he
lucky.
comes back. How much of an effect do you think that really brings onto the team?
Big effect. Not only his hitting ability, but his fielding ability. Now, his fielding ability won't matter nearly as much now that Castellanos is emerging as possibly a Gold Glove candidate. But at the end there, made some pretty big improvements. But mainly his hitting and also his presence just on the team in general. He's what you need as a team leader.
So I'm going to start really today as we got here. I want to really try to hit on some things like certain players and certain things we really need to see improvement on or what our really opinions are. So, a big way to start it off and really start conversation is when you talk about the Kyle Schwarbers and the lineups. The Turner, Realmuto, Harper, whatever you would put the lineup at. Do you have what would you do for your 9? Or even just starting off with 1 or 2?
Well, before I set a lineup, I want to first set up who I want in the lineup before I order it.
Yeah.
Rhys Hoskins does not belong on a starting lineup in the MLB. He is a player, one of the streakiest players I've ever seen. He hit, 30 home runs in his first year or 7?
Yep.
Some ridiculous for his rookie year.
Coming up in July.
By coming up in July. It was remarkable, and it kind of boosted his career but at this point, he's possibly a mid-level. I would not call him, he's on this pace never going to be an all-star. And I have never seen such horrific defense possibly the easiest defensive position.
He makes it look like you're playing like the hardest defensive position.
Yeah, he almost blew the World Series game 1.
Yeah.
With that, I mean, for those of you, like Joe Mauer, he was a catcher, and when he got too old, they put him at first base, because that's what you do. You have to catch a ball. You see Moneyball?
No, I haven't, but
Oh.
I would guess other people that listen to this probably will.
Yeah, they took Scott Hatteberg, a catcher, and he was worn out, he was old, and he was able to, they needed him in the lineup, so they put him at first base, and all he had to do was catch a ball, and he was able to do it.
Somehow Reese is just not able to do that or even catch the ball. Like, it doesn't even look like he's catching the ball the right way when it's thrown to him from other positions.
Yeah, it's one thing for there to be a scooper or a ball thrown a bit over your head to get it, but when the ball is straight to you, that's not even something you can really teach. It's something that
he just, I guess, learned at some point and picked up on it.
It's something you have to do or you can't do. I don't know if it's a little tweak in his hand or something, but he can't catch. He was terrible in left field when we had Carlos Santana a couple years ago. So outfield's not a good option. I think he was one of the worst defensive outfielders.
The only
back then.
possible option is going at DH, but as you said, he's streaky. So
not only is he streaky,
strikes out when he's not.
But when Bryce Harper comes back, he won't be able to field, I don't think. So Harper will need to be DH, and that's non-negotiable.
Yeah.
So I believe possibly keep Hoskins in, cycle him in at DH at the beginning, and then once Harper comes along, either Hoskins if he can prove in the first half that he is a valuable asset, in fact, then we can keep him at first. But if it comes around to Bryce Harper coming back at DH, Hoskins might have to go.
Do you see them trading him in the middle of the year? Would they do that?
I do see him being a potential trade deadline
acquisition for another team.
Yes.
Or trade piece.
Do we know how long he has left on his contract?
This is his last year.
He's going to be
a contract year. So, the thing is, I think to give him the most value, I would say having a streak of hitting cannot save him on the team in July. Like if he's on a streak of hitting, that's what brings up the most value for him.
Yeah. So plus he does have an added incentive because with him
it's a contract year.
Yeah, it's a contract year. He has to prove to teams that he can maybe be a bit more consistent, and that's how the Phillies got lucky. He happened to be on a streak during October.
Now, if he starts to, out of nowhere, be more consistent in the first half of the year, that helps us out a lot.
Well, yeah, that's great. I'm not saying we get rid of him now. Give him some more time because he ended the year on a pretty good streak.
He cannot come back and bat in the 2-hole. I don't think we can continue with that.
I agree. You can't have somebody taking
that streaky, taking that spot.
Taking an extra at bat than half the lineup.
Turner or Realmuto or anyone else, honestly, Bryson Stott or any of them should be batting and taking that extra at bat.
Mm-hmm.
So, anyone else you would want to put into that you have questions about for the lineup?
Yes, Nicholas Castellanos.
We just talked about his defense. It's coming back.
He's got great defense. Defense isn't what I'm talking about here.
I just made a video about Castellanos, and it took me forever to find good highlights because he doesn't have much. All of his swings he just reaches for it.
Yeah.
And it doesn't look like when you look at old highlights of him, he just doesn't look himself. He has to do something.
Well, also don't be too discouraged because a lot of people really started watching the Phillies more in October, which he happened to be in a slump during October, but he was doing fine during the regular season.
Yeah, as even September came around, that's when that was pretty bad. I think the thing was last time he had a home run was like the end of August, and he really couldn't do much in the doubles category, which is what he led in the years before.
Well, was he hitting fourth?
He was hitting fifth.
He's not a five hitter.
He hit fifth the whole year until they backed him down to sixth, I think, at one point.
Well, I'll circle back to Castellanos, but somebody I want to talk about is Rob Thompson. Everyone is saying, oh my God, he's so much better than Joe Girardi. Look at the numbers. We're doing so much better. Nobody has given me a reason why Rob Thompson is better. And the one thing I can think about is Joe Girardi micromanaged his team. He switched the lineup almost every day.
I don't know one time there was a consistent lineup for a week.
Rob Thompson is a guy that just let the players play.
Let the players do their thing was kind of like his motto, and saying he gave the younger players more of a chance than Girardi ever did in a couple of years he was here. As good example of that for Girardi is the Ronald Torres, and playing him is he's not a younger player, but there are other younger players to play.
Yeah, why would you play Ronald Torres, who has not even a high potential?
He came up good in certain spots, but there was probably younger talent that we could have shown more in that situation if you just let them play.
Yeah, and if we had potentially either played a younger player who could have helped us or could have added trade value even, but
that's what gave Maitan and Vierling really their value that the Tigers took them with.
But I see no benefit to playing Ronald Torres, for example. So Rob Thompson did a good job at cycling in some of the younger guys and keeping the lineup.
A platoon in center field for a while.
Yeah, but keeping the lineup intact for the most part. You have righties.
It was pretty much the same lineup.
The same seven.
You came out the same top Schwarber.
Top seven.
Yeah, top seven. And
then the bottom two would just switch between righties and lefties. You had Stott and Marsh as lefties hitting against right-handed pitchers.
You had Vierling and
Sosa.
Yeah, Sosa.
Now, that worked to a degree. What a lot of people don't understand, it seems, is that when baseball has a lot of streakiness. A lot has to do with being good at the right time, and that's what the Phillies were able to do, most of the Phillies. Nicholas Castellanos happened to be, I'm not saying he's a bad player, I'm saying he happened to be playing badly at a crucial point. And that is when you have to know as a manager when to move him down in the lineup, or even just give him a couple days off. Work with him, but
I feel like they tried that for the season. They tried to work with him, and it didn't seem like he really was trying to work with them.
But the solution is not
keep batting him
at fifth.
There was a point I think it was the end of the year, and I'm watching all these games. I'm like, why the lineup comes out every day with the same top seven, and Castellanos sits there at 5. Every single day. When you could look at the players behind him, I would bat Alec Boehm over him, and I would bat Bryson Stott over him pretty much any day of the week, the way he played.
I would bat Derek Hall over him. We had Bryce Harper at DH and Castellanos in right field. You can move something. If you want to make Derek Hall play instead of Nick Castellanos, they'll find a way. Players can play different positions when there's a World Series on the line. And the answer is not keep Castellanos in right field, who cannot hit at that time. And I don't blame Castellanos for that. I blame Rob Thompson for not switching it up. But have you thought about this? What makes Rob Thompson so good? What makes him hired for the next 2 years? What makes him the hero of Philadelphia?
Because he just came in. I feel like he came in at the right time. Came in at the right time of the year. He started to manage the bullpen better, which really helped.
I've noticed 2 differences mainly. He's cycling in the new players, and he lets the players play.
He also the bullpen management was a lot better.
How so? It wasn't the management of the bullpen that.
It was where they were playing, where they were using the players in certain spots. When you use a player in the beginning of the year, I know he wasn't there anymore, but the players of Familia over and over in the 8th and 9th inning situations when he continuously blows leads, and we forget the Familia and the Knievel in the beginning of the year, continuously blew lead after lead, and he continuously continued to put them in there at the closer role. I think that's probably the main reason one of the big reasons, and then of course letting the players play and letting the players like help playing. And
But his bullpen management is.
it's an interesting way to go about things, though,
But
how he does it.
But that's not what made our bullpen so much better. It was the coaches that worked with. Alvarado had a drastic improvement, and that's not because he was being managed better. It's because he was.
He went down to our minor leagues.
Yeah, he went.
He was fixed.
Yeah, he was fixed. That's how you fix players.
Now, do you
Managing
think
the
as you
bullpen-
fix, would they have fixed Knievel ever? Would they have fixed him into a way of not, like, actually going back to what he was supposed to be?
Knievel?
Yeah.
I think it's possible, but wasn't he injured for a while?
He was injured. I'm saying in the theory of him not getting injured. If he, like, would they have been able to keep him in fix him up into a role that isn't, like, even when he came in other situations, he would blow a lead.
Well, everyone's gonna blow a lead. I think possibly, maybe.
It's a tough question.
But Jeurys Familia being played was not. Girardi was going to play Familia because he wasn't. We did not have a high quantity of relievers in our bullpen at the time.
Yeah,
So,
but the thing is, we had the same amount of relievers.
no, the point is the players need breaks, so you're going to want to play everybody in that bullpen a couple times. I don't think Girardi should be blamed for playing Familia. I think maybe the GM for not releasing Familia sooner, but in my mind, Rob Thompson is not the reason for our better bullpen. It's the coaches that made him better.
So do you think how in the managing like the bullpen of this year, is this is an easier task with the
Much easier.
with the better players, but the bullpen is pretty close to what it was last year with only like two or three changes at the end of the year with like 2 or 3 changes. Does he take that because he took the role of a playoff series, being you have to win this game in a long 162 games season? Does he take a different approach of he was pitching a certain amount of guys and throwing them in there?
Well, I think you will be a bit more
Conservative?
No, not the opposite. I think you're going to be more open to giving new players the opportunity in the beginning where you have some breathing room and there's not all this pressure to win this game, so you can experiment a bit. And when it comes down to that, he might do the same thing that Girardi did. So, honestly,
It's gonna be interesting to see even just the beginning of the year and see what he see how the team, like, we've only seen him, we did see him for most of July and August just managing, but it really started to be up there close when he did the right thing and seemed like every decision just made sense. As you watched it more, the decisions started to make more sense, like just watching the game.
I suppose Rob Thompson he might be the answer, but
We've been through a long history of certain people
he doesn't do anything new. He's not special. He can do all he needs to do. And this is what Girardi needed to pick up on. I think this is what Joe Madden needed to pick up on before he got fired. All you have to do is let the players play. And a toddler can do that. Girardi couldn't. Rob Thompson can. And that might be all we need to manage a team like this.
because with a bunch of players that are just kind of, not all of them are most of them aren't like homegrown players. A lot of them are.
You need to be creative when you're dealing with younger players. Like, don't the Rays have a lot of young guys?
Yeah.
So over there, you need to be creative with your lineup, see what works best. But with the Phillies, we have so many well-developed stars. All you have to do is just sit back and let them play.
Because each one has their own resume, and each one is going to play to their resume 90% of the time.
Yes.
Percent of the season. Like, Schwarber's going to hit the home runs for you. Turner's going to bat 300 for you, and we thought Castellanos was going to be that hitter, and he just, for some reason, wasn't that guy.
Which brings us around to the lineup.
Right back to where our goal was in the first place.
All right, I'll start off by saying Schwarber is not a leadoff hitter. Aaron Judge hit 62 home runs.
He also batted in the 300s. I think, like, batted 311 or something.
I'm looking at his stats right here. He hit 62 home runs, and he led the league in RBIs.
He batted leadoff most of the season.
Judge?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
I'm pretty sure he was the leadoff hitter. He was the leadoff hitter, and then I feel like they didn't move him, but I do remember he would lead off games without. I would watch a game just to see his first at bat, which was the leadoff of the game. He was the leadoff hitter. He's someone, as the Yankees, I would not play him as the leadoff hitter anymore. He's more of your power bat, but he played as more of the leadoff hitter for the Yankees.
Well, in my mind, the leadoff hitter is someone that follows. Leadoff hitter follows 7, 8, 9, and those are going to be your bottom of the barrel players that might not get on base as much. So more times than not, your leadoff hitter is going to be up with empty bases, and that's when you're going to want somebody that can get
onto base
for the power of your lineup to come back later.
Think about 99% of the time, the leadoff hitter for the Phillies is going to be playing after. He's going to be batting right after Brandon Marsh. 99% of the time.
Yeah.
And then, pretty much 1 through 8 is pretty good for hitting for the Phillies. Like, we'll put the bat on the ball, but I don't know about Brandon Marsh yet. But for hitting wise, he had a horrible postseason. Just watching, of course, the one game that I went to, they hit the home run. He hit a home run, and then he hit a home run in the World Series.
Where did Shohei Ohtani? Where did he bat last year or 2 years ago?
I don't remember where he batted. I think they batted him. They batted a Trout right before him, or one way or the other. They would, because when you're watching the Angels play, it would either be Trout then Ohtani, or Ohtani then Trout, and I think it was Trout first. I think Ohtani was Trout was either at the 2 and Ohtani the 3, which I think that's how I remember it, or it was Ohtani 2, Ohtani 3, and Trout 4.
All right, well, here we go. In 2021.
It's not last year for anyone who doesn't understand that, because I have some people that might not know that.
Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and Salvador Perez led the league in home runs with 48 each. That year, Perez had 121 RBIs, which led the MLB, and Guerrero was not far after with 111.
Schwarber wasn't close this year.
This year, Schwarber hits 46, which is 2 less, so basically the same.
Pretty much the same amount of home runs.
And instead of 121 or 111 RBIs, Schwarber hit 94 RBIs.
Yes, and
doing math there, that means about half of his. How many? That means about a third, at least, of his home runs were solo.
And they come as leadoff home runs?
Yeah, leadoff home runs. I mean, I get it's exciting and it jolts the fans and the players when you start the game with a leadoff home run.
But a leadoff home run is definitely not the best thing. Not a thing I would want to happen every game. I don't think getting out to a 1-0 lead on a home run by the leadoff guy is not as good as getting off to a 1-0 lead with a couple singles and keeping people on base. Just keep the ducks moving around the bases.
Well, hits are great and fielding's great, but when it comes down to it, you win games with more runs. And Schwarber, if he goes up first and hits a leadoff home run, is going to get 1 run for the team.
Now, that doesn't mean that's normally not enough runs to win the game.
No, it's not. If he's 4th, then all you need is 1 player in the top 3 to get on base, which with our Phillies lineup should happen. And Schwarber gets at least 2 runs with a home run in that new spot.
There goes his RBI category. There goes the
doubles.
Yeah, there goes like you can really talk about him as a really league leader in like RBIs and home runs and
potentially a triple crown candidate.
he's
Not triple crown. He doesn't get the batting average.
He should the
Potentially
banning of
an
the shift
MVP
should help.
candidate.
The banning of the shift could help
Potentially an MVP candidate.
if you can rack up that because he hits so many home runs when he hits them in normally big situations to help the team.
So if he gets more RBIs, if he gets moved to fourth or third, or at least the middle of the lineup, he'll get more RBIs. It'll help us win games. It'll propel us to a better season. We'll get more fans, more money, and he could potentially win MVP.
It's just winning. It's a win for everyone involved.
It sets off a chain reaction, just moving him down, and that's what change.
It's great to watch when you're just sitting there and you're watching a game. You'd rather watch a 3-run home run and the celebrations with that than just a solo home run. Puts you in a bigger lead, and when you have the threat of going through the lineup and saying, oh, we've got the big guns coming up with a Schwarber, Harper, Realmuto, Turner group, and Schwarber's behind Turner and behind Harper.
So what drove me crazy last year was seeing Kyle Schwarber leading off, and the leadoff spot it's always been for someone who's able to get on base. So this whole time I'm wondering, why is Gene Segura batting sixth? He had the ability.
I think he let off a little bit in 2021 before Schwarber.
A little.
Because we never had a stereotypical leadoff hitter, and I think we've got that now.
With Trey Turner.
And
I still see people putting Schwarber first, which boggles me.
Just the amount of production, and you can say you have a certain amount of power hitters in your lineup, and the lineup is pretty balanced. Just looking at the players in the lineup of like having players Schwarber, Turner, Realmuto, Harper, Castellanos, Stott, Hoskins, Bohm, and Marsh all bring good amount of things to the table for the team.
More or less, yeah.
So for one, I think we pretty much both agree on Schwarber.
Turner.
I mean, no. Trey Turner at one. Trey Turner at one. Then number two.
That's why we brought him in. We need somebody to get on base.
And the resume of having a guy who will bat to a 300 batting average every year just makes everyone feel a little bit better.
And he's the best shortstop in the league. What I don't like is his contract.
It's a lot.
It's a lot, and it is for a long time.
And I don't think he's gonna be. We're gonna have a rough patch with certain amount of these players on the big contracts that they're on.
The Phillies are investing in today, and this might have been our best chance to win the World Series this last year. I'm not sure we'll get back there. We might, now that we have Turner, but again, a lot of luck was involved in getting good at the right time.
Building the bullpen helps a lot in the offseason, which really has been their Achilles heel over the years.
But I do believe we do not have a great farm system.
We're working on it.
We're working on it, but we only have 2 top 100 prospects, which is pretty low, relatively speaking.
The Phillies have never really had a good farm system in their history.
I say we have less than 5 years to bring Andrew Painter up, because we need...
Well, is he coming up to start the year for you?
Give him time. I say middle of the year, maybe.
So you're starting in your rotation. You're starting with a Falter or Sanchez in the rotation.
I'm starting with a Falter.
I'm not mad at that. I feel like that's an underrated move just from, again, people who only watched the playoffs and saw him get.
Nobody knows about Bailey Falter. He's
destroyed. He was outstanding. He came in to fill Zach Wheeler's role, and it was outstanding what he was able to do.
Yeah, people were considering. I don't support it, but people were considering keeping Falter.
It was insane what he was able to do, and the more time he gets, I think there could even be a consideration of, okay, well, we really have to think about.
We kept Kyle Gibson in for too long. And that's what we did.
He should have been released like the rest of them. I think the Falter playoff game was a disaster, but he probably.
Now I'll tell you this: I do miss Noah Syndergaard.
I wanted him back.
I did want him back, yes.
Because I see him actually doing well for the Dodgers, I think is where he went.
I do see Taijuan Walker as a good substitute, though.
I always forget they got him. Yeah. I just forget with all the other moves, and Turner, the span of getting Turner, I think we got him 2 days before,
Yeah,
or a day before, and then
Yeah,
you had
Turner was the headline.
one day to think about Turner, and then Walker, cool. If Walker came a week or two later, that would have been really a more important.
I must have missed the ESPN update about Taiwan Walker as I was buying my Trey Turner jersey.
It was great. They got Walker before price went skyrocketing.
With Edwin Diaz.
Diaz. Well, Edwin Diaz was the first signing.
He was the first.
He was the first signing. DeGrom went. Then
Justin Verlander with his.
Verlander went after Walker did. So
$80 million might not seem like a lot in the grand scheme of things, but for 2 years, 2 years,
just the amount of money they spend is insane.
Verlander's old. Trey Turner's in his prime, and we're getting him for what? Not even 35, 30.
Yeah, but for 11 years, and that's still a lot of years.
Yeah, but we're gonna have Turner till he's 40, 41, and Mets will have Verlander until he's 40.
And look at the time periods. We have Turner for 11 years. They have Verlander for 2, and maybe this. I feel like that last year might just be a bad year for Verlander if he struggles. Like that year, the contract probably won't make sense if he struggles in that second year.
Well, that brings me back to Turner. Trey Turner. We have a team with not a great farm system. We have 1, maybe 2, maybe 3. I don't know about Abel. I don't know about McGarry. But I've seen Painter. I've seen him in the minors. He has amazing control.
If he performs well, are they going to bring him up opening day?
We play.
If he performs well in spring training, will they bring him up?
No. You can't compare spring training to the majors. It's just as we're experimenting with young guys, other teams are experimenting with young guys. He's not going against Mike Trout. He's not going against Pete Alonso. He's not going against Aaron Judge in spring training.
Yeah. Well, yeah. That's probably why I enjoy watching the spring training games and seeing the younger players, just seeing what they're capable of doing.
Well, if we want to rest our bullpen, we're going to need starters to go 6. And Painter goes 4, maybe 5 in the minors. So he's going to have to be able to...
He needs to build up like a
endurance.
workload and figure out how to do that. But he's going to be kind of like a Spencer Strider was to the Braves last year, honestly. They brought him up. I keep forgetting they only brought him up last year by July is really when he started to shine for them. He was in the bullpen for a while, and he came up, and they're like, well, we need you as a starter now.
So let's get some ages out there. Harper's 30.
I can pull it up. I don't know Harper age.
I have it right here.
Yeah.
I have them all. Okay. So Bryce Harper.
You'll pull it up better than me. I'll lose it in the process.
So Bryce Harper is 30. Nick Castellanos is 30. Kyle Schwarber's 29.
They're all pretty much in that.
Rhys Hoskins is 29.
They're all in that 28 to 30 some range.
Trey Turner's 29. JT is 31. So with our hitters, we have
general regression.
30-year-olds.
Yeah.
30-ish. I say, and we have young guys.
And we have the Bohms of the world, the Halls of the world,
Stott,
Marsh.
Bohm, Stott, Hall, Marsh, and Painter, the young guy coming up.
Yeah, and then for pitchers you got Wheeler's on the older side, right? Wheeler and Noah.
Wheeler's got 2 years maybe on his contract.
Yeah,
Wheeler's 32, Nola's 29.
And then Suarez is the younger one of the group.
My point is they're all relatively the same age. So they are all going to expire at the same time.
And that's going to be
that will be a problem, because in 5 years, if we don't have anything to show for all the money we've spent, we are going to have Harper and Turner puttering around getting $30 million at age 38 doing nothing, and we are going to regret it if we don't have anything to show for it. So we are
if we have a World Series to show for it, it won't be regretted. But we need to actually this year, and the problem with us is the division we have to face. It's not a easy road to get there.
Well, don't make excuses.
Yeah.
NL East is not. They have three good. We're against two good teams and two bad teams.
Yeah. We don't play them as much with the even schedule.
Yeah, I'd say it worked out for us with our pretty good division, but it's not impossible. It's not like with the Giants, Dodgers, Padres. What was it, 2 years ago or last year?
Yeah.
When I felt bad for those teams.
They're
They're so good. Dodgers barely made the playoffs.
And then they it's like three dragons slaying each other until one will finally
ridiculous.
fall off.
The Phillies aren't to that extremity. But we are, in the next 5 years, prepare yourself because we have Painter coming up before these stars expire. We need to win now before, and that's why I didn't like Turner's deal, because it really screws us over once in the second half of his contract when we are paying him.
And Castellanos and Schwarber will both be gone by that point because they're
Hopefully.
I think Schwarber's on a 4-year deal, Castellanos is on a 5-year deal.
Yeah.
Or I have it flipped, but it's one of the two.
But people don't understand the money aspect of it. When you have Turner and Harper on not double 9-digit,
it's a lot of money going
it's
into those.
It's a lot of money. Some people don't understand what $1 million is, but we're talking about
millions of dollars.
A combined $600 million.
It's a lot
between
money
two players.
Give to those two players.
They have a couple years left at best. We don't have a lot of young guys coming in after Painter and Abel and McGarry. We don't have a lot of, especially for hitting, we don't have many. We have maybe Yohan Rojas.
Yeah, I don't. It's we're building off. Are we trying to build off a future of Stott? Like Stott and Bohm will probably hold the infield because we don't have anyone else.
Well, this is where the Phillies made a mistake. We signed all of these guys to long deals, Harper, Turner, and these stars. So you know what the Phillies did? The Phillies started drafting pitchers with their first-round picks.
Not
Painter
exactly.
and Abel.
It works for now, but it doesn't work for the future.
Works. Pitching can only get you so far. You win with runs. And when you have these guys, sure, just because when Harper and Turner are still going to be here in 5 years, that doesn't mean they're going to be good. It means they're going to be here, but we're going to need some more young hitters. Abel is not the answer.
Good thing that they were able to the bringing up of Bryson Stott to pretty much help the team as a hitter. That was probably one of their best hitting prospects to bring up, and bringing him up at that time was perfect timing.
Yeah, but for a couple years when we were terrible at drafting, when we had Mickey Moniak first overall pick, then we had Cornelius Randolph. Ever heard of him?
No.
And then who was after him? Scott Kingery?
Oh God.
And
Please no.
Adam Hazley.
Okay, this is where when we would have the conversations. Me and my grandfather would talk about conversation of, okay, who do we put in center field now? Are we going with a combination of Roman Quinn, Scott Kingery, Adam Hazley, or some random free agent that we signed? At least we've been able to stabilize a center field position with a young player.
But you need to comprehend the idea that you can't tell if a draft pick pays off until at least 2 or 3 years. So Adam Hazley, we drafted him in 2018.
I don't remember.
2018, we'll say.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's it. Maybe 17.
He came up in like, what was it?
2020, yeah, COVID year when he had to leave for personal reasons.
Didn't he come up to 2019 the year before that?
Maybe for a bit. But 2020 started the year off with personal reasons. He had to miss, and that destroyed his career. Yeah. I feel bad for the guy.
I actually kind of I saw him being kind of good, like decent.
Oh yeah,
decent to have around from a little bit in 2019 when we saw him play.
But we digress. Adam Hazley, in 2018 we drafted him. We drafted hitters in 2019 and 2020 with Alec Bohm and Bryson Stott, and it paid off so well. But by 2020, Bohm and Stott were still in the minors. Hazley had failed, so we switched to drafting pitchers. We didn't realize at the time that we had figured something out and that we were drafting good hitters, but it was too late. We were already drafting pitchers. So now we are
They try and jump and kind of get to the next point before they're even at the first point.
Yeah, you have to take a step back, see how this is going, see how Bowman-Stott are going to turn out before you abandon your strategy completely. And now it worked, but we're going to have these pitchers, and a crowded bullpen is not going to fix.
We have to see how like we can even just try to start to develop a hitter. Like if we can, the thing they really need to start to do, they've pretty much figured out how to help develop pitchers. That's been a goal that they've been trying to figure out for years, and finally figured that out now. Somehow we don't really know exactly.
I'm not sure how much goes to developing with Painter. He's just superhuman.
But we're sending, like in the case of when they sent Alvarado back down to the minors, helping him do something to change him, and like having good people down there, and then having the people that we sent back up of.
I'm not sure how good a job AAA is doing with hitters, though. You know, Scott Kingery's been in AAA for the last 2 years?
Yes. And there should be some way to fix that, right?
Yeah, I think AAA can be good at developing pitchers. We've done well with that.
We need to figure out how to develop a hitter or how to help a hitter when they come down to a AAA level.
And that's in AAA. We have a problem below AAA. We can't develop pitchers.
Yeah.
I want to tell you about a guy. For those of you that don't know, I go to a lot of Reading Phillies games. Scout some of these guys. Have you ever heard of Aniris Zabala?
No.
I think he's African or something. He was throwing 100, 101 in relief.
For what? For the Reading Phillies?
Yep.
When was this?
Last year. He's gone.
Why?
I think we released him because we were not able to harness his speed. Think about all that velocity that's being wasted now. If we could have just figured out how to get some control on this guy, then he could be up here. And he's just an example.
How do we get to a point of being able to get Dominguez? Is he just a talent?
Dominguez?
He's gone through a lot of time down there.
Well, you know how players spend years in the minors and sometimes year plus in Reading in AA?
Yeah.
Sranthony played 2 games in Reading. 2.
And then we
move him right on. Reading did nothing for him. He was able to prove that he could skip right ahead. So maybe Lakewood or Clearwater is doing something right. But AA, there's just this big punch for pitchers.
Hitters,
Derek Hall spent about 2 years in Reading.
He was
working, and it worked. It worked.
And where is he now? He's on the that's the thing. He came out of like a player of like you see him in the minor leagues and you wonder why in this situation you don't bring him up. And the time they finally did bring him. They did bring him up and used him in the situation.
And then we sent him back down to AAA to get some work, and that's not the answer because you and I both know Phillies AAA is not the best at developing hitters.
Yeah, you can see they're better. Problem, they have to do something where they somehow combine the staffs and try and figure that out that way because
just do some mix and match.
Move a couple hitter people up here, a couple pitcher people that way.
You need a balance. Between AA and AAA pitchers and hitters. Anyway, my point was, we're going to rewind a bit.
Going all the way around in the circle that we've gone in now.
We don't have much hitters in the minors to look forward to, so we have to win now.
And that's why we have to that's why we've had to bring in talent, because the talent was so far and in between.
Mm-hmm.
To have that's so like good, and then in between there's such a lull in this team developing. Like we brought up Stott and Bohm in the span of a couple of years.
Will you remind me why did we trade away Vierling and Maton? Who did we get?
Gregory Soto in the bullpen. all-star
not.
reliever. I still don't really like that.
I do not like that trade. Forget about okay. First of all, I'm gonna
I don't think
take
I don't
something
think
away
we
right
needed
here.
an all-star reliever of his. Like, I know we needed the good relievers in that situation, but we are seemingly being able to help develop a pitcher.
I'm gonna correct you on that for a sec. He's not an all-star reliever. Relievers, it's the position where you can be good one year, dirt terrible the next year, and somehow skyrocket the next year. The fact that he was an all-star means nothing towards what he is now. So forget about that for a sec. He is a reliever. Relievers is not a position. It's not a position that you trade for. Remember Brandon Workman? He was amazing somehow for Red Sox, I think.
Red
We
Sox.
traded for him. How many blown saves?
A lot.
I
And
don't
a
think
lot.
I have enough fingers.
A lot
He
that
only
I-
played like half a season.
A lot that I don't want to in the 2020 year. A lot that I don't want to remember. That horrible bullpen.
Hard.
And Keith Hembry, we forgot that we brought him in. He was bad.
I liked him. I know he was bad, but I liked his name.
Who was the guy they had in the beginning of this year? I can't put a finger on it. They had some guy in the beginning. David Hale. I didn't like him either. They had him for a while.
But relievers is not a position that you trade for. It's simply not. Gene Segura.
You signed them off of like a free agent.
No, not even that. Reliever is
Develop them.
Yeah, you have to develop them.
And Brogdon, we developed a good amount of the guys in
We
our
can
in our
develop
bullpen.
pitchers. We can develop pitchers.
Problem is the hitters. We just hit on that before.
Now, I know I'm contradicting myself because I was telling you about Zabala, but it's a bit hit or miss with these guys because Lakewood and Clearwater were able to develop Painter before, and now he might be stuck in Reading for God knows how long. He spent half a year in Reading, and he breezed through Lakewood.
Does he go? He was dominant in Reading, though.
He was dominant, but we can't get him to pitch longer than 4 innings.
Yes, that's
Dominant for 4 innings does us no good.
yeah. He needs to be dominant for 6 innings
Yes.
because we have the guys in the bullpen to fill the ending innings. Because I still think the way we added to the bullpen this offseason, I don't really like as much of adding.
Well, that's just it.
Yeah,
Adding to the bullpen in the off season.
We have Dominguez. We had Alvarado. They're there.
They're there.
You add the Soto, which could be hit or miss. And it's kind of, the more you read into it, sounds a lot like Alvarado before he kind of got himself under control. Which I kind of, the scouting report from Tigers, people saying that he
You mean it sounds like bad Alvarado?
bad Alvarado, and I don't really want bad Alvarado from a guy we traded Veerling and Maton for.
Yeah. I mean, reliever is not I mean, maybe you can trade relievers for other relievers, but reliever is not a position
You
that
trade
you should
two
be trading away 2 young,
bench
promising
play, yeah.
batters.
Yeah.
Yes.
And adding on to what I was saying about the bullpen, Dominguez, him, Alvarado, Soto, the other people that they bring in to the bullpen, I don't really like bringing in Kimbrel. He's only closed ever. He's never been a middle relief guy, and we have 4 people that can close a game.
I don't like bringing in relievers. That's it. We have to.
The
solution
is just develop them.
is develop them, but you can't develop them if there's a big hole in the middle. You got single A good, triple A good for relievers, but in the middle you got to fix something in double A so that you can develop more relievers. But again, there is some promise there because those who are able to survive double A, like Sir Anthony, thankfully he was able to skip double A, so we could just develop him in single A and triple A. But you got to get a more balanced minor league farm system, so you can develop some more relievers, so you can get relief pitchers for your team, because that's the only way you're going to get good relief pitchers.
So,
I'm telling you, that's the only way.
yeah, probably that is the only way you're gonna. And what we've, remember, I think, who did we let him? Why is JoJo Romero not on? Is he on the team anymore?
was about to bring him up. There are two things you have to know about me. I love when we develop a great reliever, and I hate when we trade him away.
Did we trade him away? I don't remember.
We traded him, trade deadline. He was on the 60-day IL. He pitched one game coming off the IL, just so teams could see he was good. He pitched one game. It was fine, an inning or something. And we traded him the next day for Edmundo Sosa. That's all right, I guess so. But
Sosa was going to be...
Sosa does not bring in as much value as I see Romero could have possibly.
I like JoJo Romero. That was...
JoJo Romero threw straight fire.
He was a fun guy to watch, and he had a good good attitude.
He's the guy that chugged the Red Bull.
And he would smash it on his way out.
He had the Philly vibe, and we just traded him.
We just went, bye-bye.
He was so good. And you don't bring up relievers to trade them away. That's what other people do to screw us over. You bring up relievers for you. I don't like messing with relievers in trades or free agents.
He's gonna be
Trading
good
for
for St. Louis.
He will, and it's gonna bite us in the butt.
That's like other just back in we've made different moves in the Phillies history, like trading away young prospect relievers that have actually kind of panned out.
Whatever happened to Sixto Sanchez?
I was just about to.
He was a first-round pick.
Yeah,
he was a pitcher.
He was hurt the last couple of years for the Marlins.
We can draft pitchers, all right.
We can draft. He was hurt, but he was good when I think he played a little this year. He was good when he did play.
He was pretty good, yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't know, with relievers, we can't really. I don't like trading them away any more than I like getting them in trades. I think just don't mess with them. So when we traded away JoJo Romero,
he didn't play at all this year. Played in 2020. Sixto Sanchez.
That's a gray area.
3.46 ERA in 7 games.
Okay.
He has projections for 2023, so he will play this year, though.
But you have to think about added value for a team. Edmundo Sosa might get a pinch hit home run here or there. Or not
he only hit 2 home runs.
Whatever, he's not a home run hitter. He might hit
make a couple good defensive plays.
A 7th inning, down by 5 runs, pinch hit RBI single or something. I don't know. But you can't overlook relievers. So I do not like trading away JoJo Romero, but we have to fix our minors so we can develop these pitchers that we are doing so well in drafting. Hitting-wise, we need to be able to develop pitchers, and we need to draft more hitters. That's the end of it.
For a bench, what are you doing for our bench?
A bench?
Like, who are the guys you're putting on the bench? Because we know Stubbs is on the bench as the backup catcher.
Before you get into it, yeah. Josh Harrison, I want to hear what you think about him.
I like it and don't like it at the same time.
Do people forget he was on the team?
He was on the team in 2020.
He didn't do anything.
We never brought him up.
Yeah. What's the reason for that? It's like, I
thought that was weird why you bring someone back that you never actually used.
And I want to bring up the fact, I read this. When I got the news that Josh Harrison was a Philly, they called him a roster lock. How he's fighting
for a roster spot.
He is fighting for the roster spot just as much as Yohan Rojas is, as all these minor leaguers are.
Dalton Guthrie,
yeah. But he is not a player that you should be excited about. He is a Ronald Torreyes. He is a
I thought it was a weird move to see that, and of course
it was weird.
During the moment of seeing that, you're all stuck up in the Eagles stuff and
I don't see
watching
any
that game, but
benefit. I mean, it was a 1-year deal, right?
1 year, $2 million.
I don't see
$2 million. It went over the $2 million to go over the luxury tax.
You see, I don't see a benefit to adding him. That's not true. I don't see excitement that comes with his arrival. But I also don't see... I'm not angry about it. I mean, $2 million when you're paying $30 million to Harper, it's not going to hurt you.
Yeah.
We're giving him a shot. We'll see. This is a player where you can evaluate him in spring training, not Andrew Painter. But this is a player that you can evaluate.
Yeah. So, for the end, because I only have about like 3 or 4 more minutes until we're going to wrap this up.
So let me just quickly run through my lineup.
Quickly run through your lineup, then I want to get an Eagles Super Bowl prediction before we get out of here.
Yeah. All right, so we got Trey Turner leading off. Then we'll go JT second. He can get singles, and he can get extra base hits. He can get home runs. He is a guy that you want in the top of your lineup. Power hitter, and we're doing...
This is before Harper.
Yeah,
Before Harper. We won't worry about the Harper. We can get to that another day.
All right, so pre-Harper, you'll want Turner, Realmuto. This is a toughie.
It's very
Assuming we're going to keep Castellanos and Hoskins,
yeah.
I'll put... Schwarber's going 4.
Schwarber's automatic. So you have Turner, Realmuto that have a little hole there, 3, because that's where Harper bats.
Yeah. I'm going to put Hoskins second. No,
I'm not doing that again.
I'm putting Bohm second.
I want Bohm at second. I like that idea.
Okay, so we'll draft this together. We got Turner
1,
Bohm second. He can Realmuto is the definition of a power hitter.
Yes. Realmuto at 3, Schwarber at 4.
Yes.
Then do you go Hoskins 5?
Castellanos and Hoskins 5 and 6. I don't really.
It doesn't matter the order.
Then you can figure that out later.
Then
you got at the bottom. I like Stott going. Stott might be a 5.
Stott could be a 5. Stott can come.
This all.
I would go Stott 6 because he's gonna go with that righty-lefty matchup thing, and that's gonna be a Schwarber Stott.
Castellanos and Hoskins
cannot. I don't think you can
they're
bat.
Streaky.
You cannot bat the two of them back to back.
Correct, but they're also streaky, so you have to see where they're gonna start the year. If one's doing good and the other's doing bad, then you have one at 5, the other at 7, and then put Stott in the middle at 6. Have a nice streaky sandwich right there with consistent Stott.
So then 8 and 9.
You have Marsh and you have
whoever you're going to DH. You have
Hall.
to pick someone to DH.
Marsh and Hall.
Yeah, Marsh and Hall.
And then you can always change it because, again, at the beginning of the year, you can mix
DH,
it up.
we'll mix it up. So that's
maybe
pretty much our lineups.
Yeah.
So we're mainly Phillies, but want to just throw in, because the Super Bowl is Sunday, not like it's a big event or anything, I might want to throw a Super Bowl prediction in there. What's yours? I don't really have mine yet, so I've really been kind of sitting on this all week. You have any?
Well,
any idea?
Do not think it's going to be a blowout. I mean,
I'll stand to what I said before. I think our defensive line will hound their offensive line.
Why don't we talk about Hurts for a sec? I want to hear what you think about him.
Okay, so Jalen Hurts, I don't think they don't win this. No matter how he plays, we're not winning or losing because of him. We're winning or losing the game because of how the defense plays and shuts Mahomes down.
So you think it's because of the system built around him that the Eagles were so good?
Well, inserting Gardner Minshew was a complete disaster when Minshew played because Minshew's just that bad. I think Hurts plays to he's playing to an insane caliber, but I think we can probably the system, I stand with the people that believe you can put a Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, there has to be a highest caliber player in that position.
I'm going to have to disagree with you on that. Hurts, Gardner Minshew. I stand by the belief that Gardner Minshew would have done just as good put in that position if Lane Johnson was still there. Lane Johnson was the reason we lost those 2 games in a row, not Hurts. So anyway, Hurts healthy, Lane Johnson if he can be healthy. I say Eagles in overtime. Or not overtime. That's so rare.
That's never going to happen.
One score game.
One score game. I think it's a 2-score Eagles win.
All right.
So,
I guess we'll find
Zach,
out sooner or
thanks
later.
for coming. I'll probably have you on again. This was fun to do.
Yeah, thanks. It's been great.
So, that's Zach Halbert. I'm Kevin Flannery, signing off on this edition of the Philly Fan Podcast. See you later.